Mickey Talks.
Talk a lot, and welcome to episode 54 of Mickey Talks. I never in a million years, Matt, would have
You didn't think
thought.
we're going to make it to 54, did you?
No. I really thought if I could get to 20, that I'd be like, all right, I did something.
You thought
Right?
you thought you were going to quit.
Of course I did. The day I started this, I'm like, this ain't going to last. I'm not doing
Well,
this.
now you're not going to quit. I'm not going to let you quit.
I can't quit now.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'm stuck.
I'll fight you.
This is what we do now, Matt, for no money. We are the hardest working
This is
freebies.
Our full-time, no job.
I'll tell you one thing. We might be the best show on the internet.
Yeah.
Might be. But we're definitely the poorest. That is a fact.
All right.
We have
we're
no
the
money.
best at something, man.
Yeah,
At
we're
least.
number one
Yeah.
at something. Today's show, as always, brought to you by Barnes Paving. Incredible people there at Barnes Paving. Give them a call, 443-243-3710, or check them out online, barnespaving.com. That's B-A-R-N-E-S paving.com, whether it's commercial, residential, driveways, crack filling, whatever it is. Barnes Paving is MHIC licensed and insured and accredited with the Better Business Bureau. Barnes Paving, thank you. You are the reason we're on air at all. So thank you, Barnes Paving. Now, I want to jump right to our guest,
Of
Matt,
course,
and
of
we're going
course.
to do our show, but you don't get legends in here often. True
story.
legends.
Yeah.
And when I started radio, this was the number one morning guy in Baltimore. Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary from WQSR, Steve Rouse. How are you, my friend?
Good.
Great
Thank
to
you.
be here.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Sit
you.
down, everybody. Stay seated. He'll be here for a while.
You know, I let me interject just quickly,
Please.
and then
You can
it's
take
your
control.
show. This is like when I would sit in for Amelia or Josh on the 98 Rock Morning Show. All of us, I was so used to running a show, you know, all of a sudden I was bringing in guests that were out in the hallway, and Mickey'd be like, I don't even know who the hell this is.
I don't know anything.
Don't worry about it.
They
It'll be
just-
good.
They've always did that. They sat me in front of a mic and they went, we'll take care of everything else. Just do that part.
I just want to say that this is a first, I think, today that because I've watched and listened to a lot of your stuff, and it's the first time I think Mickey hasn't started the show complaining about something.
Yes, it's
Like,
true.
you know, the internet. What's wrong with the damn internet? This mic isn't working.
The
What-
evening is still young. Steve.
Oh, okay.
I've been complaining about a lot. But the reason I won't complain is because you're here, man. And
Cool,
I
thanks.
want to say that when I started, you were on a station that back then it was called Oldies,
Right.
which played everything from the Beatles to the Beach Boys to
Right.
50s and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. And, you know, now a classic rock station is the exact same thing as it was
Yeah,
for you
pretty
back
much.
then.
Yeah.
So when I started, I was like, oh my God, Steve Rouse is the king, you know? And then as I got to know you, I realized why we're so good at it. I'm going to give you a little ass kissing for a minute because you deserve it. Seriously.
Just for a minute.
Yeah. But no, I'm serious, Steve. Like you had a show that parents and kids alike.
That's my story.
Yeah,
you know?
you listened
Yeah.
with your dad in the car. You know, my dad thought he was black, so I always had to listen to V103 as a kid. Right? My dad loved Motown and all that
Sure.
stuff. However, like my mom loved you. Like
Mm.
that generation, my parents, and you were their guy, man.
You have no idea when, you know, I got out of radio and we started the farm,
Sure.
which, you know, most radio people do, of course.
Yeah, get into the farming business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had so many, about half the people that would come into our market would know me from the radio. The
Sure.
other half, I was Farmer Steve, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And, but I had a lot of guys that would come in. They'd be like 40, 45-ish,
Yeah.
3 or 4 kids.
Sure.
And they go, oh, man, my parents used to listen to you. I listened to you on the way to school in
Yeah.
6th grade. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, my God. Holy crap.
You want 1 or 2 dozen eggs. But Steve, you know, you were the king in this town for a long time. Your show was phenomenal. You were to me, I knew I could never do what guys like you did, radio guys.
Well, we did different styles.
But what I
really.
mean is you had such a reverence for the medium and the people that you truly were up against. I mean, your era of jocks were Stern and Imus and these legends.
Well, and in Baltimore, you had a lot of morning shows going on.
I mean, I remember as a kid, Johnny Walker was like, I don't know if you remember Johnny Walker,
yeah.
But when you came around, you were it, man,
well,
for a long, long time.
It took a long time, Mickey, to get there.
Did it really?
Oh, yeah.
How long did you suffer in Baltimore before it hit?
Well, when I first came to Baltimore, I was at 92 Star, which was
wow.
God.
Right.
That lasted 2 years, I think. 92.
No, it lasted a little. I was there about 3 years.
Okay.
I came as a midday guy. I was in Maine, the huge
the
radio market of Bangor.
Bangor, Maine, the radio giant of the market.
One of the selling points was our station covers half of the state. And so I was like, well, how many people is that? Like 10?
Yeah, exactly. All 14 miles. We cover half of it.
Oh my God. But so I was there first.
Yeah.
And after, as a midday guy, and then I got bumped up to the mornings. And after, you're basically a card reader.
Of course. Yeah, in the beginning, yeah.
Lionel Richie on 92 Star. That kind of thing. And after about a year and a half.
Good. That sounds so good.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Now I want to hear the song.
I know, right?
Play some damn Lionel Richie.
Dancing on the ceiling, baby.
So you get the mornings.
Yeah. And after I was there, you could do a little something,
Sure.
personality. But after about 6 months of that, I was like, oh, I just really want to get out of here.
Really?
And, I'm looking around Baltimore saying, where can I go? Because at that time you had Brian and O'Brien.
Huge.
Yeah. Lou and Linda was
on
QSR.
God, I didn't realize. So what years is this?
Would have been 86, 87,
Wow.
88, somewhere there. McCarthy in the morning was huge on Mix.
Bob Rivers was Bob Rivers.
He came in a little bit later, but 98 Rock was
those
huge.
Are monsters.
That was
monster
like
names.
Monster
who was there?
names.
Like Lopez and
you had Lopez before Bob Rivers. Was that the Chris Emery show?
It might have been
It might have
Chris.
been
Chris Emery.
Yeah.
It might have been Chris and Erica, or they might have been after.
I
can't remember.
It was around that time.
I feel like they were early 90s.
I think you might be right. Yeah. I think it might have, who it might have been? Chuck Ducote.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't remember.
When was Undeco and
oh God, that was 94.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. So Steve, you ran this town for a long time from the morning driving seat. Did you, when you started in radio, did you want to be a morning guy? Or was that your mission?
I just wanted to be on the radio.
You did?
Yeah. I mean, ever since, seriously, 5 years old I knew I wanted to be some kind of entertainer.
Yes.
You want to hear some of the childhood Steve stories?
I'd love to hear nothing but childhood Steve stories. I got an hour and a half to fill, Steve. Take your time.
All right. I was always an entrepreneurial kid.
Sure.
I always had stuff going on. I set up a candy store in our neighborhood, and you'll love this story, Mick. My grandmother had a little neighborhood store in our little tiny town. I grew up in a little town called Gouverneur, Gouverneur, not governor.
Governor. Right.
Rhymes with manure.
And about a fishing cast away from Canada, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Seriously. Upstate New York at the border.
Yeah. Northern New York, 18 miles from St. Lawrence River. And so Grandma Woody had a store.
Your grandma's name was Woody?
Well, Woodard was her name.
Okay, got it.
I called her Grandma Woody.
Got you.
And so she would supply my store ideas for myself. And so I opened a candy store. And, I had like $1 worth of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, back then they were all a penny a piece.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so I had my first customer, neighbor Joey Tokus, and sold out. He bought everything
for $1.
Yep. And so I went in and I told my mother, I sold out. What do you think of that? And she goes, well, okay, that's good. Well, about 4:00 that afternoon, my mother came in and said, who did you sell all the candy to? And I said, Joey Tokus. And she said, he's a diabetic. And I said, of course, I didn't know what the hell a diabetic was.
So you immediately started selling drugs. You thought, if I can get away with this,
right?
Let me just get these kids high and get it over with.
Wow. So that put an end to that.
So you went from being a candy entrepreneur. What was next for Steve?
I was the director of public works in our neighborhood when I was like 7. I started, any storms came through, I'd be out with my shovel, getting things into the sewer drain, big into that. The
You loved attention, is what it was, wasn't it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's what we all are guilty
I put
of.
on shows like
Right.
for the neighborhood. You
Yeah.
know. I would memorize like Bob Newhart albums and stuff like that. I would get neighborhood kids to be props.
Yeah.
And I would go around the neighborhood. There was probably like 8 or 10 houses in the neighborhood. And I don't think I sold tickets, but I handed out tickets. And the crazy thing was
They'd come.
Of
course they would. Yeah.
You know?
Now, to set the stage, I mean, you're talking, what years is this? 60s? Early 60s?
50s.
50s.
Yeah.
So this is the milquetoast American town. I mean,
totally.
good morning, neighbor, that kind of stuff,
yeah.
right?
Hi, neighbor.
Yeah, your milkman brought it up to the steps.
Totally, yeah. We'll have an orange drink this week too. a quart of orange drink.
So you grow up in that environment. Did you go to college?
For about a month and a half.
So you don't do.
I knew what I wanted to do.
You were going out for it right away.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to be in radio. I mean, during the time that I was, setting up the neighborhood newspaper and the candy store and everything, I was listening to radio. And you couldn't get anything during the day,
right?
Because this was AM,
right?
AM radio.
Yeah.
So the only time I could listen to my heroes was during the night.
Who were your heroes in the 50s?
WABC out of New York was huge with Cousin Brucey.
Cousin Brucey. I've heard it so many times.
Who else? Joey Reynolds, and later Jackson Armstrong. WKBW in Buffalo was huge. We could get that. WLS with Larry Lujak in Chicago.
And these guys were monster personalities, right?
Big Ron O'Brien at Super CFL in Chicago. All these guys. And I set up my bedroom. I had my radio. I set up my bedroom. I had one of those it was like this. You know? And
pretended that was a microphone.
And that was a microphone. This is where I was supposed to do homework. And of course didn't. I had my little record player over here, and I would talk up songs and
just to yourself. And you literally practiced how to be a radio.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I swear to God, I have that exact. My parents bought me a Bee Gees microphone when I was like 10, and I had that and the speaker outside the door with a tape recorder and my turntable, and I would kill to have some of these tapes again. I have no idea.
God.
Yeah.
But I was doing stand-up at 8, for real. Like in my family's living room, they'd all stop what they were doing. All the focus was on me. I remember my biggest performance
and you
ever.
loved it.
Oh my God. Do you remember when Steve Martin did King Tut?
Yeah, for sure.
That next week, I don't know why, we had a big family party. It might have been near Christmas or something. So there's like 60 people in my grandmother's house. My uncle went out that weekend and bought the song. It was a hit. King Tut was a hit.
I remember.
We had the 45. He put it on, and as soon as it started, I went right in the middle and started dancing. And I did the whole thing. My family went crazy. And then from there, me and my Aunt Kathy learned the dance steps to the Grease scene. And you better wake up, that whole thing. Yeah. And we would sing it to each other.
You were on your way, man.
Oh, I knew what I was doing.
On your way.
Yeah. I didn't have any damn candy store like you did, Steve, but
to the diabetics.
I had to struggle.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, I wasn't a drug dealer like you in the beginning.
Oh my God.
So now let's get into it. Your first radio gig was where and when?
In my little hometown.
No kidding.
And this is how it happened.
How old are you?
17, I think.
Wow, this is awesome.
But so what happened was Beatles, February 7th, 9th, 1964 on the Ed Sullivan Show. Everybody wanted to have a band after that. Everybody.
Right. Yeah.
So 3 of my pals and I said, hey, we got to start a band,
Right.
None of us had instruments. Nobody could play anything, nothing. My dad had a folk guitar, which you couldn't hear.
Sure.
And I couldn't play, so it didn't matter. My first song was On Top of Old Smoky. You probably remember that.
Of course. Yeah, On Top of Old Smoky. Yeah.
That was huge. And so eventually everybody got instruments. I mean, we stayed at it, man. We worked our butts off.
Oh, wait. So you and your 4 buddies actually did form a band, got instruments, and started learning them.
Oh, yeah.
That's impressive,
We were the Echoes.
Great name.
Oh, great.
No, I'm not lying. For that time,
That's
a great name. It's also a great 80s new wave band.
Yeah.
The Echoes. That would have been a great new wave band.
So we practiced our asses off, and our first gig was in the basement of the Catholic Church in Gouverneur. Gouverneur was a town of about 4,000 people.
Wow. You drew half of them that night.
No,
right?
We drew about 12 people.
Okay, perfect.
And so we had a song list of about 8 songs, and it was least a 2-hour gig. So we just kept playing the same songs. over
Now,
and
were
over.
you god awful?
I think we're pretty awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty
was it a lot of like the parents just going, that's my
Yeah,
boy?
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. You know, the third time, hon, I think you got it tonight.
So we knew it wasn't very good.
Right.
And so we had to practice. So I think it was probably another year because we were like 13 at this
Sure.
point, 14.
Absolutely.
Another year, we got it together, and we had a dance at the VFW.
Oh, now you're moving up in the world.
Oh yeah.
Did you have to leave town to go to a VFW? Or did your town have one?
We had one.
Okay. All right. 4 members.
Yeah, exactly. And it was packed, and it was great.
Wow.
And
So now you're 16, 17.
Yeah, 15, 16
Yeah,
probably.
you're in those getting late.
And my
days.
dad, well, getting there. Well, my dad always thought this was just bull.
Right. Yeah, of
This is
course.
Like, why you got a guitar? Okay. La, 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 whatever.
I know exactly how you feel. My father told me when I was like 15, I said, I want to be a comedian. He goes, great. You go, no, I said,
Make me laugh.
I said, I want to be a comedian. He goes, what's that? I go, well, you know what I mean? Like tell jokes, like philosophy. And he goes, are you going to join the philosophy union when you graduate? I'm like, thanks, Dad.
Oh my
So
God.
we had the same dad. I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So after that gig at the VFW, and of course you always got paid in dollar bills.
Right.
And so I got home from that gig, and Dad and Mom were in their bedroom, and I knocked on the door, and I said, can I come in? Sure, come on in. And so I whipped out this big roll of dollar bills, and I threw it at my father's lap. He was sitting up in bed, and I said, there, what do you think now?
Did you really?
I did.
What did he say?
He still remembers the story. And he said, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we got something here.
Yeah.
Who knows? But from that band, and we ended up playing all over upstate New York a lot. And, none of us were of age, but we were playing in bars.
So
and
no
stuff.
jokes aside, you were like a big local band.
Pretty big, yeah.
That's awesome, man.
And another funny thing about this, and I'll just shoot this stuff out.
Yeah, man. Keep talking.
Like there was 4 of us, and this would be 1968, 69. We were making $200 a gig. And when you think about that, just recently, I looked up what is $200 today.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
What year? 68?
Yeah, I'll say 68.
All right. So you're making $200. And
It's
that's
probably what you made a month in
no, I'm
1968.
saying, no,
right?
he's saying that's what he
Salary.
made in 68.
No, I know. I'm saying that's probably what people
Yeah, I'm
made
thinking
salary
it's
per
probably
month.
worth 12 or 1500 today.
Yeah, I think it was 1700.
Yeah, I mean that's and splitting up 4 ways in
Yeah.
those days,
So it was
That's
like,
great
what the
money.
hell?
like a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just recently, our drummer Marty said to me, he goes, we were talking about it. And I said, that was pretty crazy. And he said, yeah, I bought my own school clothes. And he goes, there'd be weeks when I would make more than my father.
That's incredible.
I know. Isn't that
Playing
crazy?
rock and roll in upstate New York.
So we were asked to play on the radio station, WIGS in Governor, the Wiggs twins.
The Wiggs twins. Listen to Rouse go.
And they had like a Saturday morning live something. And so we said, yeah, sure. So we played, and all the guys, we all discussed it. Who's going to talk?
Right.
who did that.
Yeah.
They said, okay, why don't you introduce the songs and talk about the video and stuff? Yeah.
You. Yeah.
And I said, okay. So we did it, played for an hour, half hour.
That's when they
whatever
heard
it was.
those golden pipes.
Yeah.
And that's so golden today. And
I'd still kill for his voice right
so-
now, and I'd kill for
and
that
of course,
voice.
it was on the second floor, so you're lugging equipment as
Sure.
always,
Yeah.
up and down. And our drummer's mom said, "Steve, you sounded good, introducing the songs, and that's all I needed, man.
And then you,
That's all I needed." So I met a guy who was working the night shift on the station, and just started hanging around, and that's kind of how it all started.
Wow.
That's
And
amazing.
they gave you your first shift eventually, which was what?
Nights, and the show 7 to 11. The station went off the air at 11. And the show was called Country Fair Time. It was country music.
Nice.
A little station like that, they did trying to please everybody.
Sure.
So
Yeah, from 5 to 6, it was
was-
Merle Haggard or whatever. Yeah.
The Ag Report.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the
What
cost?
was-
What's the cost of pigs this day?
What was your music back in the day then, at that time?
Oh, it was top 40.
Popular
stuff.
music.
Yeah,
Were you
yeah.
a rock guy?
Yeah.
Did you love the Beatles? I mean, did that change your life like it did
Yeah,
for a
oh,
lot of
yeah.
guys?
Well, that led to all of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
But
Steve, I'm not to interrupt you, but that's a really cool point, because I've thought about this. Not experiencing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan myself.
I
That
know.
that I've
And it's funny because it's always on Ed Sullivan.
Right.
It's not like a record.
we don't realize, people nowadays don't realize how powerful Ed Sullivan was.
We had one channel,
right.
one TV channel.
Yeah, and Ed was on it.
Ed was
Yeah.
there.
And he had the prime time show.
Right.
So I want to ask you, you're how old in 63? I mean, 10,
12.
12.
Mhm.
Great age to be a young boy.
Oh,
right.
Oh God, man, it was perfect.
All of a sudden, your list. I mean, let's be honest. Elvis had been out.
Yep.
Elvis was cool.
And Elvis, Elvis
Everybody
was good.
loved Elvis.
Yep.
But you'd never seen a rock band before. 4 guys up there. It was different.
Oh, it's totally different.
So when that happened, that was the advent of bands. Whether people realize that,
Yeah.
there were no bands.
Oh, everything changed.
But was it overnight? Like you woke up the next day
pretty
and
much.
you and your friends were different people?
Oh, pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
The way
to
they
me.
dress, the way they talk, the sound, the sound. I don't even know if I can explain it now, but it was just different.
Yeah, man.
And every album that you bought back then, there was like 2 hits on it. The rest
Right.
was kind of garbage.
Right.
But with the Beatles, every song
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like just wow. You couldn't wait for the next album to come out. And remember, Mickey, you didn't have cable and
Right,
Netflix and all
nothing.
this. The only time you ever saw them was, on Ed Sullivan, or sometimes somebody would do a special.
And you
on
only heard
CBS.
them on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you went out and bought the record,
But I want to hold your hand, or I saw her standing there. I probably played 1,000 times.
Sure.
I mean, those were the songs.
You know what's crazy? They never get old.
I know.
The Beatles songs, I mean, there's songs I love, but I'm like, but no Beatles song. Somebody said to me one time, what's your favorite Beatles song? I'm like, yes, whatever one's on. Like, they're all incredible.
Yeah.
There are obviously some great songs, but like, I've probably heard Hey Jude 6,000 times. And if it comes on, I tell people to shut up.
Right.
Like, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? How that works.
Not being able to, I think the closest thing I can even experience with that, and it sounds so dumb, was when Michael Jackson did the moonwalk.
Oh yeah.
On the Motown 25th anniversary.
Very
That
similar.
changed kids.
Yeah.
I'm in the 8th grade, and you watched that the night before, and you saw the next day every girl is talking about it. Every guy's trying to do it.
Yeah.
You're begging for that red leather zip jacket. It was like you wanted to be.
You're looking around for one glove.
Yeah, exactly. I had plenty of them. Don't worry, I lost all the other ones. But no, I mean, that's the only other thing I can really think of to compare it to.
Yeah.
It's phenomenally like that.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, but I think the Beatles were even bigger.
But you had all those bands. I mean, there's great bands now for sure, and all through the 70s, 80s, 90s,
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
Jesus, you
But
had
you
the
had
Who, Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
you had, and even on the poppier side in those days, some of those acts.
Well, yeah, the Doors were huge. I love the Doors. Jim Morrison was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, poppy side, you had Grassroots and all those guys. I mean, it was just.
It's really similar to you, Matt, and I'm not being funny, but like metal for you, rock, hard rock, and metal. That you wanted to be a radio guy playing that stuff. At how old were you?
I was probably 17 when I first started interning at a radio station.
Yeah,
So
but
that
you
was
had
really
wanted
my
to do that.
beginning.
Where was that?
That was at a little tiny station called 97 Underground. It was a 10-watt station that was originally part of Dundalk High School's
Oh, cool.
radio program.
Yeah.
And it turned into a semi-commercial radio station. We had a lot of underground listeners, of course, and we were doing shows at Hammerjack.
Yeah,
You probably
remember
that back in the day.
Yeah.
And that was my
97
radio.
Underground, man.
Playing stuff that nobody was playing at the time.
I remember
You know?
hearing that. What
Yeah.
years?
Probably 89 through
Yeah,
right.
90.
Yeah.
I was there probably.
Yeah, I remember I came in there one time with Lost Angels, and we were opening up for somebody, and you interviewed us in the basement on was that Hartford Road?
It was Bel Air.
Bel Air Road.
But dude, it was just a
Do
little.
you remember that? You remember interviewing?
Actually, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
it
remember
was
that.
me and
but-
Gray Manna.
Yeah.
And I remember we left there, and Gray was like, that dude was cool. Like, know about you.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I'd ever met
Well,
you.
we had, for the time, we had some giant names coming into that
Didn't
little
Metallica
basement.
go in there?
I don't remember Metallica, but we had like Motley Crue. We
Right,
had,
Motley
the guys
Crue,
from
yeah.
Iron Maiden, all these metal bands
Yeah.
coming through.
They came in live?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Really
to the
cool.
little basement.
In a
Yeah.
townhouse, a
Yeah.
row house on Bel Air Road.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was pretty
It was
wild,
wild.
man. So, Steve, you decide, all right, I introduced my own songs. I'm going to do the radio, and you got this country show at night. You knew, and you had to know at that age, all right, I'm not staying here. I want to go.
Although I stayed a while.
How long did you do that first gig?
Well, I eventually worked my way up at that station.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So walk us through.
Yeah.
Did you end up on mornings?
I don't think I ever did mornings there, but became the program director and the music director, which weren't, it sounds really wow, but
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
So it's Governor,
Yeah. But I mean, you
but
still
the fact
did it.
is you got that on your resume though.
Yeah,
too,
that's
true.
true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Did a lot of play-by-play sports, high school sports when I was there. So that was a great experience because I loved sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, the basic thing there, I was there maybe like 4 years or something like that.
Wow.
But I learned everything.
Yeah.
Because you did everything.
Right.
You read the news, you did the sports, you jocked the show, you
voiced commercials, you edited them. Yeah.
You wrote commercials.
Right.
We go off the air, you drive out to the transmitter shack and call up the engineer. Okay, what do I do?
Are you serious? You had to turn the transmitter off?
Well, if you went off the air, you would go out there and call him, and he would say, all right, now be careful. See that bright
Don't touch that.
that bright copper coil?
Yeah.
Stay away from that.
Don't go near it.
We were talking about this a little bit off the air, Steve. You got into radio during a really special time. Something that I never got to experience was actually being able to pick your own music.
Well, I know.
A lot of people don't realize that radio now, for the longest time, I should say,
my
has always
entire
worked off a
radio
playlist.
career, which is
of course,
from the early 90s, say late 80s, there was a program log.
Yeah.
Nobody picked the song.
Yeah.
right.
I was heartbroken.
Even during a lot of request hours across the country.
I was heartbroken the first time I went in 98 Rock with Russ Motla doing afternoons. And he's answering calls. And they're like, hey, can you play this? Can you play that? Can you play this? Hey, Russ, play some AC/DC. Never. And I said to him one day, after about the third day, I go, do we ever play requests?
Right.
And he looks at me and he goes, and the only way Russ could, he goes, the requests are for them. Yeah, that was his thing. It was like they feel good calling up. If it comes on, it comes on.
I'll put it to our viewers in this way: in that it was something that you would get reprimanded for as a jock if you went off the list.
Dude, I got how many times.
Yeah.
So when
we do.
when we were doing the night show, me and Jen.
Yeah.
And we were playing 8 songs an hour, right?
Yeah.
And then letting us do 4-minute bits to develop our show. Anyway. I'll never forget the second night I'm on the air. I'm looking at the music log and I go, I don't like any of these songs. This is just my own arrogance, right? So Jen's like, we have to play those. I go, why? She goes, those are programmed. I go, yeah, but the computer I don't know anything. So I go, nah. I go over. I played like 6 songs in a row that I wanted to hear. B cuts and shit. Right?
Sure.
On 98 Rock.
Right. Oh, God.
The listeners loved it,
of
right?
Of course.
Oh, my God. Dave Hill calls me and he's like, what are you doing?
Oh, God.
And I go, what do you mean? He's like, I got defensive because I'm like, I'm playing the songs because I used to try to play less songs.
And people are loving them.
People love them. And he goes, Mickey, we work really hard. And there's a reason we have to play because they have to get so many plays a day.
Yeah.
And you know how all that goes.
Mickey, we've researched this, man. We've researched.
Yeah. Radio did such a good job researching. They researched themselves right out of business, by the way.
You'll love this story. So I'm at WIGS, my first radio station. I'm working afternoons at this point, and Happy Jack works nights.
Right.
Happy Jack moved up from Rochester, New York, and he turned the entire town on in about 6 months.
Really?
Oh yeah. He had a little farmhouse somewhere, and he was growing his own and doing the whole
just
thing.
Weed. Talking about
weed. Just weed.
Yeah.
And so Nat Natale, the morning guy.
These names are incredible. Happy Jack, Nat Natale.
I worked with a Max Volume one time.
Yeah. Nat talks about when he worked in Rochester that each shift had a jock name. Right. It didn't matter if it was a different guy.
Oh, it was always that name.
The morning guy was Mike Melody. That was it. And Nat would say, well, yeah, but that was the guy that just got fired. No, you're Mike Melody now.
Oh, my. They were all characters.
Yeah, they were all the same name. Wow. And so Happy Jack was going to do news. I think I did news in the morning too.
Right.
And I was going to do the show, so-called
You're
show.
not the real Happy Jack.
Yeah.
And so Jack was always getting high on the air and stuff. And so he came in like Wednesday of that week about 7:30. He goes, hey, man, you want to get high? And I said, now? And he said, Yeah, we'll just go in the bathroom, take a couple of hits. It'll be good.
Sure, what the
And
hell?
I said, okay.
Yeah.
So we did. And that was the last time I ever got high in the air.
Is that the truth?
It's the honesty of truth. All of a sudden, just like what you were doing
Yeah.
at night, Johnny Mathis and Frank Sinatra hit the skids, man.
Right.
We were bringing out the Who. I was playing
Bob O'Reilly.
Rolling Stones,
love it.
and we were giggling like during news and sports, and it was.
Did your boss flip?
It was. I don't think they ever heard it because they came in. It was a husband and wife that owned the station.
Yeah.
And and my mouth got so dry.
Yeah, of course. Oh, I've done that. Yeah.
Every time, I would say something, my top lip would click, and people were calling up, "Hey, what's that click?"
You see, people, it's a gateway drug to breaking format.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so they got to work, and I'm going, "Oh, geez, that's not going to be good." Never said a word. Happy Jack and I went across the street to Newberry's and ate like 14 pounds of bacon, and we were good to go.
Where'd you go from there? So you leave Wigs. What's the next one?
Let's see. I think I went a lot of big places.
Yeah.
A lot of big places. I think from there I went to maybe Charlottesville, Virginia.
Wow. Now, in those days, how did you? I'm not being funny. Was there a trade magazine you could say they're hiring somewhere?
Billboard.
Yeah, R&R magazine.
R&R.
Oh,
Yeah.
R&R.
Radio and Records.
Right.
Broadcasting magazine had one ad.
It's crazy that they're all gone now. Blows me away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and you would send a tape and a resume. The tape would be some of your best stuff you did on the air.
Sure.
What's short, you try to keep it short because a lot of program directors, they'd listen to the first 15 seconds, be like, nah,
I don't like him. Yeah.
So, Charlottesville, I hated Charlottesville. I don't know.
Was Baltimore your biggest market?
Oh, yeah.
So you got here and you settled?
By far, yeah. I came from Maine, and I just fell in love with Baltimore.
It's a great town.
What was the first station for you here then?
92 Star.
It was 92
WYST.
Star. Okay.
And I came from Bangor. I had a come to Jesus meeting in Maine where, I'd been in the business like, God, I don't know, 15 years, and I'm in Bangor,
Right.
and I'm like, I don't, living paycheck to paycheck, barely making it. And I got a girlfriend at the time who's picking up roadkill so we can have a meal,
Yeah, I get it, man.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Or going down on the rocks and cutting mussels off the rocks in Maine just to eat, it was tough.
What was your favorite roadkill, Steve? What were you eating?
Well,
those days?
we didn't.
A guy named Steve they ran over. No, I'm kidding.
At the time, I walked in and she was cooking. I said, "Man, that smells good. What is it?" And she goes, "I'm not sure. It's probably either a grouse or a partridge."
Do you know what kind of animal it was?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Was it delicious?
It was okay. It tasted a little like rubber.
Right. Yeah. And who amongst us hasn't eaten a little rubber?
Oh my God. But I loved it up there. Oh my God. I loved living in Maine, but I just couldn't.
You couldn't make a living right then.
And so I just had to make up my mind. I got to either do something else.
Yeah.
Or
what would have been the other thing, you think?
I could do a little carpentry, that sort of thing.
You would have went that
bit, maybe, but
was farming not a thought in your head at the time?
No, farming was not.
How is the farming for you now? What is it? What's a typical day like on the farm?
Well, I still, I've still planted a garden. I still have chickens.
But you're not doing the commercial side of it anymore. No more customers. Yeah.
Vicky got to the point where she was like, "They're just here 24/7. I just want my house back."
Well, I'll tell you what freaked me out when I went to the farm was his bee collection. Yeah, these huge bee things.
It's not a bee collection.
Whatever the hell it is, the hive. And these things, and he's like, "Over there." I'm like, "No, thanks, I'm good."
Which reminds me, I took a picture of this yesterday because I thought we might talk about this.
All right.
There was a big article in Baltimore magazine when we started farming, and in this, here's a picture of the cover of the magazine.
Right.
And if you look,
hold that up to the camera, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the magazine. There's a magazine. Yeah. But here is a little quote from a guy by the name of Mickey Coachella.
What does it say?
There's a quote right there.
Can I read it?
Sure.
From Mickey Coachella, with a laugh. Steve will one day look back at his life and think, wow, I did it. Took an unbelievable career and threw it away on farming. Is that really from the
That's really from the magazine, yeah.
I don't even remember saying that. That's hilarious, though.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
But Steve, you know, man, you get to Baltimore. Let's talk about this for a minute. Let's just skip through to the part where you're on QSR, you're doing mornings. When did it kick in and you go, holy shit, this is working? How long were you on?
Really, it was a while, man. Like
a year?
Two? Maybe 2 years,
wow.
3 years. And I, you know, pretty competitive. I had a graph on my refrigerator.
Sure.
And the guy I wanted to beat then was McCarthy in the morning.
Yeah, of course.
And so we had his rating points here, his rating numbers here, mine down here. It was like this. And then every
book.
What was it?
Every quarter.
Every quarter.
Yeah. Closer and closer.
Every so often, though, it'd be like a little step backwards. I'd be like, God, I know the show's better than that.
Right.
Better than his show. I know it, you know. Just kept plugging away. But one thing about doing that show was when I first came to Baltimore, as you said earlier, B104 was like king.
They were God, Brian and O'Brien. You couldn't beat them with a stick.
No, and you couldn't go anywhere in Baltimore without seeing a B104 something.
Yeah.
They were out. They in the Civic Center. They
that's
had
my
clock. I mean, it was
teenage days. They were it.
Oh, for me too. I mean, those jocks all inspired me to get into radio.
Yeah, Willie B and all those guys.
Yeah.
And so I thought, even on 92 Star, if I ever get a chance to do a morning show somewhere, that's how you win.
Yeah.
You got to be out. You got to be meeting people. You got to be just
in the community.
And so once we started, fortunately, I had a group of people with me that were all for it. And so I said, look, I don't care if there's 10 freaking people there. We got to get there. We got to shake hands. You know, if just one of them says, hey, they're pretty nice guys, let's give them a listen, you know, and then they like it. They talk to, you know, it just mushrooms. So that's what we did. And that's finally, but it took a while, you know. I'm not
you
like
grinded it out.
I'm not like you or Howard or something where you kind of shock people and they're like, oh, you got to hear this guy.
Right. No,
that wasn't really it.
Right.
You know,
it
was just a real tight show. We did a lot of characters. We had a lot of bits.
It was a phenomenally entertaining show.
Say, you say you're right. It wasn't shock for you, but you were just one of the most genuinely funny radio guys that ever went through this town, man.
I never met one dude. This is funny. I think about comedians and other jocks.
Yeah.
Ever his name comes up, there's never like, oh, he did that cheesy old people show. It's never that.
Listen.
I'm serious, Steve. You are respected like a mother. I'm going to respect you right now. You are respected. I would have said it any other case.
It's your show, man.
No, I'm not going to say that.
I was a kid in the car with my parents
Yeah.
and didn't appreciate that music, by the way, until I got a little bit older. Didn't even like the music.
Yeah.
But loved your show in the morning. You know, really loved your show.
Yeah.
It was
fun.
Yeah. I mean, you're one of the best, man. I got to tell you, I was telling this story last night to a friend of mine about the first time you came into 98 Rock to help when Amelia was off. And I remember driving in that morning, right? And, you know, I used to get there, I'm not going to lie, 5 of 6. I'm probably driving in, right? Anyway, yeah, exactly, buddy. They got people to do stuff. They told me sit in front of the mic and talk. That's it. Anyway, I'm driving in that morning. I'm thinking about the fact Steve's coming in. I'm like, I am working with arguably the best morning guy this town's ever had. And I never get intimidated or ever. I just love everybody. So it's like, yeah, I'll do this with you. But when you walked in the studio that day, there was a part of me like, not that you were going to judge me. I didn't think that. But I thought you're going to look at the way I do it and think, this isn't even real radio to me. You know what I mean? Like
I totally know what you mean.
So,
like I am an imposter.
Right. I'm a total imposter.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So, but when you sat
I felt the same way coming.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and 3 minutes into the show, we're laughing at the same thing, talking and I'm like, this is why he's the greatest. Like, you sat down and you were my partner for 20 years. Amazing.
I felt the same way.
That's really kind of you to
just
say.
All of a sudden, I mean, so quickly we were just, okay,
yeah,
we're doing the show.
Do you think because you're one of the guys that came up with that traditional sort of radio training where, and I'm going to geek out for a second, but you do a pull through, you do all the radio cliche things, you set the time,
right,
you do what's it called when you remind the listener who you're interviewing and all that during it.
Yeah.
I never did.
Got to reset, man.
Reset. I never once did any of those things,
right.
And I used to make fun of them because I would literally say all the time. Dave would say to me, "Hey man, you got to set the time." And I would go, I've never met a listener one time that went, I was listening, but they never told me what time it was. Like, I always thought nobody gives a shit. Like, everybody has a watch or not a phone then, but, in your car back then, it was on digital. Like, that stuff made no sense to me.
Yeah. I think we said the time every break.
Yeah. That was like wild to me.
Yeah.
And I never understood it. So I felt like, if I did that stuff, that I would be trying to do what you guys do. And I always felt like I'm not good enough to do that. I used to do time. It would drive Amelia crazy because Amelia would go, she always used to open the brakes in the beginning when we'd come back because she was the radio girl. Right. She'd come back and she'd go, 7:31, let's get a look at traffic. And I started just messing with her. I'd start going, I think it's 7:32. Right. And she would look at me at first, and then she realized what I was doing. And then I think even she got to the point where it's like, why are we, what is the point?
Right.
Right. So working with a guy like you that was a master at the real art of radio. That's why I was like, he's going to think I'm a moron.
Oh, God.
I'm just a moron.
I've got to tell you, the few times that I sat in, I sat in for you when you were gone.
Yeah.
Amelia and Josh, too. I did Josh's news sometimes.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people who would say hi to me and stuff from the Rouse and Company morning show and stuff. But I've got to tell you, for the small amount of time that I was on 98 Rock, the outpouring was unbelievable.
Well, man,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I also think, and the part of the problem I have with 98 Rock now, and I'm not bad mouth, I'm not that guy, but I think there used to be a part of 98 Rock where it was like the people's station. The blue collar sort of, rock and roll type town that Baltimore is. That was just the station of the people. And they've lost that drastically. It's gone. I don't think any radio station has that anymore, which is kind of why I started this, really, because I liked talking about the neighborhoods. I liked talking about the characters around town.
Well, and I think that was part of our huge success.
Of course.
Was I was just into Baltimore, man.
Me too.
I was into this town. I loved it. And we talked about it a lot, and we were out doing stuff constantly.
You don't know this, or you may not. You may know it. I used to be a partner in the bar in Falston Station.
No, I knew that.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Do you remember when your band played there? I was not on. You guys played there one time.
We did.
A happy hour. It was like a 5:00 show on a Friday, and when I tell you there was 1,000 people that showed up and about 400 got in. And I remember I didn't know you at all. And I wasn't even really in radio at this point. I mean, I'd been on with Russ and stuff and telling jokes, and you walked by me. We didn't know each other, and I knew who you were. And I just said, "Hi, Steve." And you just looked at me. You said, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And you kept walking, which anybody would do. "Hey, how you doing?" You went up on stage. I watched you do your show. Then I watched people interact with you, and I thought to myself, that guy's the biggest radio guy, and he's just hanging out in the bar talking to everybody. And I got to tell you this, it was a lesson learned for me because I remember watching you and saying, he treats himself like he's them. You were just them with the microphone. Yeah. And I learned that. And that's from you, man.
Yep.
For real. I saw that, and it was cool for me.
Well, and that's, it wasn't an act,
Right.
That's really how I
thing.
felt.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we just did so many things around town. I mean, so much stuff.
I got to bring it up because we're both honest about it.
Okay.
Did you ever imagine money could be like that in radio, though? I mean, the amounts you made in the heyday. When you think back on it, isn't it a little weird? Like, I mean, I get it because we were on
good or bad.
Good. Yeah. I mean, it was, when you look back compared to what guys really do for a living sometimes.
I would look. I'll give you a prime example of that. I would look at Baltimore Magazine again,
Right.
and I would see that the shock trauma doctor, who's still there, I
makes less.
was making less than I was making.
Me too, man.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's creepy, isn't it?
This is not right.
Yeah.
This is absolutely not correct.
Neither one of us did a damn thing about it, though. We took every dime they gave us. But
well, the thing about it is, people say, well, you probably did pretty good during radio. And I did, but it was for not a long time.
Right. You were in radio 40 years or whatever, and you made money 12.
Right. Or maybe even less, you know. So it's not like you had a long time of socking stuff away, So
you did all right though, Steve. You did it. You got the big farm up there in the nice county and doing good, man. I drive by it all the time. I've wanted to just pull down.
Well, why don't you?
Can I?
I'm there most of the time.
Can I pull
talking
in?
with the little animals?
I'll just text you. Hey, I'm out front.
Yeah, just come on in.
The one time we did go up,
Shut
Steve,
the bees off on him. Where you?
Well, Steve took us up to the farm one time, the whole morning show, and the chicken coop was one of the wildest things because I'd never seen one up that close.
I thought you were going to say it was one of the filthiest things I've ever seen.
No. It just, have you ever been in like an active chicken coop where they're all going ape shit?
I have. Yeah.
It was intimidating. It was crazy. You were so chill. You're like, them chickens ain't going to bother you. They're going to kill me.
Oh my God.
But do you have any chickens still? Do you still do it?
Yeah, I got a few. Yeah. The whole farm thing, it was interesting because once QSR ended, then I did a year doing the morning show on LIF.
I remember that.
101.9.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
you were
my God.
miserable.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wanted to stick an ice.
And they kind of put the kibosh on what you actually did as a show, right?
Yeah, a little bit. It was kind of a thing where, hey, Steve's coming over here, and initially, it was pretty good ratings.
Yeah.
But people were like, no, this is
this doesn't work.
This is not what I was expecting.
Well, I think the thing with you was that the people that loved the music that QSR, that was their lifeblood, that music. It was really the only station doing it, and they had a phenomenal morning show. So I think that whole combination was really the atomic weapon there.
Mickey, I've always said that, it's like a pie.
Sure.
Where you've got different slices of the pie. You've got, a pretty good morning show, but you've got to have a lot more to go along with that.
Yeah.
You've got to have a general manager that's behind you all the way.
100%.
You got to have good promotions and marketing and all that stuff. And really, when CBS bought, I don't even remember what year it was, but CBS bought us, QSR, Mix, I don't know, like 4 or 5 stations.
Was that like 06 around there?
Well, I think it was more like 2000.
Was it that early? Okay, yeah.
It was never the same.
Right.
Because you had one department head for all the stations.
Yeah.
And I'll always remember.
And none of them have any artistic ability whatsoever. Yeah. They're all bean counters. Yeah.
But I remember once CBS bought all the stations, we had a meeting at the Sheraton in Towson, and they had a convention room or a conference room with a stage and stuff. So the big wigs were up there.
Yeah.
And at the time, I don't remember what ratings we had, but it was pretty good. Let's say we had a 12 share.
Sure.
And Mix had a 4 and LIF, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so they're standing up there and said, our goal for all of these stations in the near future is that they all, for selling purposes, advertising, all will have a 5.5 share. That is our goal. And I'm sitting there going, what?
Doesn't even make sense.
Wow.
Right.
What is happening here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, you were so Baltimore, and that kind of sucks all the localness out of a station too. Right?
Well, and the tough thing was, I wanted to kill Mix's ass. I wanted to kill 98 Rock. I wanted
to win. I wanted to beat you.
Yeah,
of course.
Lori DeYoung, even though it was country,
nobody could beat that
she
woman.
She had great numbers. Yeah, I wanted to beat her. And now all of a sudden we've got to go, hey guys, great, do a good job this one. I love your promotion, giving away that vacation. It's like, no, I can't do this.
Right, it's brutal.
The thing I'll always remember, though, we talked about Howard Stern earlier. He was on CBS at the time.
Sure.
And our program director came to me and he said, we need you to play these promotions for Howard Stern show. And I was like,
on a different channel.
he was in Baltimore. I can't remember on what station.
Yeah, but he was on
AM,
105.
right?
No, he was. Oh, yeah, it was 1300 in the beginning.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And so you, on a different station, you had to read ads to promote Howard on another station.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah,
I'd have quit that
crazy.
day.
Well, I never did it.
Right.
And that's what I told him. I said, and I remember having a nose to nose.
Yeah, of course.
Chat saying, I'm not doing this, man. I can't. Why would I promote another morning show in the same town?
Yeah. It's stupid programming.
And he said, well, you got to, the suits in New York. I said, well, I hate to tell you, but you're going to have to get somebody else to do the show because I am not doing that.
Good for you, man. Yeah. That's when 98 Rock, they tried to tell me that I had to promote stuff. I wouldn't even promote the other shows on the station. I'm totally kidding. I used to go, we get off at 10. I don't know who the hell's on for the rest of it.
Coming up next is
that dude, Sarah. Sarah's next.
The guy with blonde hair. I don't know.
Steve, at this point in life, you're doing okay. You're fine. You're living out life. Do you miss entertaining people?
When we had the farm going, the farm's closed now and stuff.
Sure.
That soothed that need.
Sure, the interaction that you had daily.
Yeah. So it's been a little weird since then for me.
Well, listen.
Well, the good news is Steve's got his own podcast that he's
doing
now.
Oh, really?
And, did a little reunion for Rouse and Company recently.
Yeah, up in Bel Air, right?
Yeah, that was so crazy, man.
Where was that?
Well, we do our podcast so we can eat.
Right.
So it's at 111 Main in Bel Air, the restaurant there.
Awesome.
And that was and I think everybody that was on the show came,
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was so much fun. I wanted to go all day,
Yeah, of course.
But it was fun.
Well, Steve, I don't know if you know this or not, and you're doing it with Maynard.
Yeah,
who I adore. I do you know Maynard, man?
Of course.
I love Maynard, man. A really cool guy. Super talented.
He started with us when he was like 12.
I know,
or something.
man.
Yeah, it was talk about a talent. Oh,
but we're in the podcast business as well. So now,
really? Is that what this is?
Yeah, believe it or not. I know it looks like we're doing TV in here, but it's really the internet, Steve. However, the thing we're learning with these podcasts and to make them big is doing each other's shows because it's not like radio. We're all individuals and you just share these audiences because it's always in your hand.
Right.
It's always available.
It's a totally different deal.
So please, that door is green for you, my friend. Anytime you ever want to come up.
Thank you very much.
We're going to do our version of the news real quick, Steve. And it's called That's the Facts, Matt. And Matt just reads things, and we decide whether or not we're going to talk about it or not.
Oh, okay, good.
So feel free if something you want to hear.
Yep.
Here we go right now, brought to us by Barnes Paving. It is That's the Facts, Matt. What do we got?
So we've been keeping up with the Diddy trial here,
Oh,
just because you
of course.
can't watch it on TV, so you get the highlights.
It's
on
incredible.
Mickey Talks.
Yeah.
So in the Diddy trial yesterday, a woman testified that Diddy dangled her over a 17th floor balcony.
Oh my God.
So more about that in a minute. First, yesterday, the trial started with an expert witness, Frank Piazza, debunking theories that the hotel surveillance video of Diddy attacking Cassie had been manipulated. He testified that there are no anomalies going on in the file to indicate it had been manually altered. And then it was Brianna Bognana. She recalled during a 2016 Miami photo shoot that Diddy got into her face and snarled, "I am the devil and I could kill you."
Wow.
Yeah.
This is the lady that was dangled over the 17th story balcony.
I know you were talking about this yesterday, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I got to keep going back to I think we've heard enough where the judge legally should just be allowed to say, okay, we can take him out back now and shoot him.
That's
I don't understand why.
That's the world you want to live in, huh?
I mean, listen, dude, when the 12th girl gets up and says he beat me up, he held me over a balcony, he raped me, he did.
Well, and you've got video, you've got every. I mean, look at Ray Rice. He had the one shot and he was done.
Done.
This guy.
This guy's getting it. I mean,
Listen,
the trial's as long as Ray Rice's career.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, every single one of those people on stand is its own felony court case.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I just don't why they just take that guy out back and shoot him.
They're going to get him on racketeering. That's what their goal is, I think.
I mean, I just think if you go at the end of this trial, I'd love to see the bill. for for the state. What they've spent.
I saw an estimate that they were going to
75, 80 million.
I heard 15 million for him was the estimate.
Easy. I bet the state spends 3 times as much.
Yeah.
Because they got to pay expert witnesses. They're doing. How long
has it been going on now?
It's like 2 weeks of
It's 2 weeks. Yeah.
And it's just every day some new woman gets up and goes, "Oh, he raped me, sodomized me, held me over a balcony, he drugged me, he kicked me down a hallway." It's like, well, okay, we get it. This is a bad dude. Let's just shoot him.
Have we heard from any like real big names?
Not yet. I mean, somebody did testify the other day under the pseudonym Mia, so we don't know who that was.
But that ended up being, I think, Matt, that ended up being one of his like corporate.
It was one of his assistants
in the corporation.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think any celebrities have come out yet. And Jamie Foxx has been very strangely quiet, and he keeps saying, "Wait till it's done."
Oh, there's people fleeing the country.
Oh yeah. See Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah, he's gone.
Said he'd just taken some time away.
Yeah, sure.
I love that. Why would you leave the greatest country in the world just to get some time away?
Just got to get away.
Yeah. I'll just go to the south of France.
Well, there was a heckling gambler who has been banned by FanDuel. It's a guy who goes by the handle Mr. 100K a day, has been banned. Earlier this week, the man pulled up a post bragging that his incessant heckling directed at track and field star Gabby Thomas made her lose her event at the Grand Slam track event in Philly, and that made his parlay wager win. Later that same evening, Gabby Thomas took to X and shared his post saying, "This grown man followed me around the track as I took pictures and signed autographs for fans, mostly children, shouting personal insults. Anyone who enables him online is gross." And the company banned him.
I'll tell you one thing, Gabby Thomas is not gross.
No, she is not. No, You're right about that. Hey, Steve, you're a basketball fan, right?
Well, I played a lot of basketball, but I don't really
Are you following the WNBA, this Caitlin Clark thing?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Matt, I can't stop the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark
thing.
We
got to start talking about because I know you're into it. You've been following it.
I can tell by Matt's face. He's like, "Oh, God, not this again."
Here's the thing about it. Like, I can't stand basketball as a 5'3" little white guy. It never mattered to me. But when you have great competition, like, and I know that the media is killing this girl, Angel Reese, but she's a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah.
But Caitlin Clark, it's like a wizard.
Yeah, she's unbelievable.
And so when you watch this, it's just fascinating. She doesn't crack. She just keeps putting it up.
And I want to love Angel Reese.
Me too.
Because she's a Baltimore girl and stuff. And it's just she makes it very difficult.
She makes it really hard. And I keep wanting to tell her. We got to get her on the show, Matt. That's what we'll do. I'm gonna call her up tonight.
Can I be on the show too?
You'll be the producer.
Okay.
You'll have to entertain her till we're ready for it.
Okay. So there's a woman who woke up in her coffin. Can be a little frustrating when a doctor misdiagnoses your condition. For example, saying you're dead.
That's what I hope will happen to me.
Yeah, I want to wake up in Rux.
Right.
Yeah, so it all started when this woman's 87-year-old husband found her unresponsive at home. She wasn't moving, didn't appear to be breathing, so he assumed she was gone. So he called emergency service, and the coroner arrived, officially declared her dead.
Oh my God.
And then the funeral workers came, put her in the casket, and then she popped her eyes open and started breathing all of a sudden. So they took her to the hospital to take care of her. But apparently,
were there other people around at the time she popped up?
Yeah, the funeral workers were there.
Oh
and
my
saw it
God.
happen, which has got to jar you a little bit. But listen to this. This coroner has also had 3 other complaints for the same thing.
I don't like the word assuming
when you're a coroner. Yeah, you don't get to assume, Mr. Coroner.
That's why you don't go to Ronnie's Corner Service, man. That'll be about $500. Yeah, she's dead.
You know Terry Connolly, right? Connolly. Yeah. He told me they've seen they another thing in that business. Apparently, there's electrical impulses that go through a dead person's body.
Yeah.
Their arm will flail out or a leg. He's like, after about the 12th one, you just go, "Oh, there it is," and you're okay. He said the first dozen scared the shit out of you.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would ever get used to that.
Could you do that, Steve? Be a coroner? No way, me either. No way.
Not for all the money in the world, man.
Enough money, I can learn it.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you noticed on all these police shows now, We're watching Bosch right now. Did you
Yeah.
ever watch
No,
Bosch?
I like the idea of the show though. Yeah.
But it's not just this show. It's like all of them now. If you find a dead body, there's like a lake of blood coming out of their head.
Right.
You know, before it was just like a little drip.
Yeah.
Here
No, now
or
it's
a splatter.
Yeah.
It's like Lake
How gory can you make
Montebello.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yuck.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like the Manson family set the stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a guy in Alaska who has survived being pinned down by a 700-pound boulder in an icy creek. Alaska man was face down in this icy creek, pinned down by the boulder. Thankfully, his wife was there, and she
With a
held his head
saw.
above water.
With a saw.
And dispatched 911. Helicopter came, residents arrived and took 7 men and inflatable airbags to lift the boulder off of this
Jeez.
guy as he drifted in and out of
Holy
consciousness.
cow.
61-year-old guy.
Whoa.
And he says he's, obviously thinks he's the luckiest man alive. His wife is a retired Alaska State Trooper. And they moved there from Idaho not long ago. And apparently it was an avalanche that pushed him down an embankment. But there were like rocks under him and between his legs and around him that caught the weight of the boulder, but he was still kind of pinned down and couldn't get up.
One of my biggest fears in life is being like trapped and just
Yeah.
dying.
Like in a car.
Yeah. And you just die because nobody finds you.
Oh,
I mean, that's
okay.
what that would have been if that
Yeah.
guy-
Totally.
the wife
It'd
hadn't
have
been
taken
there,
days for him to die, probably.
Well, do you guys remember that story of the hiker or something where he got wedged? This was made into a movie too.
Oh, yeah. And he ate his own arm off.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
God.
was,
Did he eat it or did he have a
I think
knife or cut
he
it
cut
off?
it off. And James Franco played the guy, I think.
Okay.
It was in Utah.
Yeah.
And he
His arm?
fell down
Yeah.
in between those,
Ooh.
and he had to cut his own arm off.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
right?
What are you
Yeah.
going to do? Die or
Oh,
lose an
my
arm?
God.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. They made that movie. It was
Yeah.
a great movie.
Yep.
Creepy, but great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Americans are saying that tipping culture is out of control. More Americans say tipping is nuts now everywhere you go. According to a new Bankrate survey, 41% of respondents said tipping culture has gotten out of control, while that 45% amongst Gen Xers and baby boomers. So the older people even more agree that there's too much tipping.
Here's
in
my
that sport.
problem with it. People that work for tips get paid about $3 an hour.
Yeah, if that.
Their income is the tip.
Right.
When you work at Starbucks and you turn around and fill up a cup of coffee and hand it back to me,
Yeah.
I'm not, it's insulting to me.
Or even better,
when
when you
you're
go to
making
a place
14, 15
where you're
an-
doing self-service and
Yeah,
there's a tip
there's a
option on
tip
there.
option.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate that when they flip
the screen around,
and
you
it's
would like to tip?
God, I hate that.
Yeah, it's pretty awkward. And I think that's probably the idea, is to make you feel
Oh, yeah,
awkward
of
enough to
course it
tip,
is.
right?
Guilt.
I have zero. You know why? No, I'll tell you why. Because I earned tips in my life.
Sure.
And I've had nights where I made $12
Yeah.
because nobody freaking tipped me. And these kids are making at least minimum wage.
Right.
Yeah.
And then with the tips, they're making 20, 30 an hour to work at a counter.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it. Pay your
There's
dues.
smoke coming out of your left ear
Yeah, I
right now.
can't stand that crap.
So there's a filmmaker who claims to know where the Holy Grail is. He says he knows where the location is. Mark Christopher Lee believes the chalice that was used by Jesus during the Last Supper is in St. Albans. Lee says
St. Albans, Vermont.
I'll have to look into that. I don't
Okay.
know where that is.
Man, is that in Vermont, St. Albans?
Yeah, I think it's a different St. Albans.
It,
so-
it must be. Yeah. 'cause
It's
he
the Holy
says-
Grail?
Yeah, he's saying this is where he discovered it was a forgotten grave of one of the Knight Templar. So it must be the
not-
medieval religious order said to be the guardians of the Grail.
Not in Vermont.
Not
Yeah.
the
I'm looking it up right
The
now.
Holy Grail was found floating on Lake Champlain yesterday.
yeah. The filmmaker notes, I've actually been studying Holy Grail legends for years. I believe I found evidence linking the Holy Grail's journey to England with Joseph. Oh, it's in England somewhere. So look that up, Mick. He was entrusted with Christ's burial and in legend given the Grail in a vision. Now he's trying to get permission to excavate the grave.
It's in England. It's Principal Midi. It's an abbey in England.
Right.
It doesn't say what city though or what part, but
Not if we get there first.
I'm really into, we've talked about this off. I'm really into the history of the Knights Templar and all that stuff and all that religious,
It's fascinating.
icons and stuff. And, I do think that there is some stuff that is out there like the Holy Grail, but I don't think it's the cup that Jesus drank out of or whatever. But I do think there's a lot of religious relics that are hidden all over the world.
Yeah,
I do. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah,
I think during the Middle Ages, when the king told you to find the Holy Grail, you found.
Yeah.
Or you'd be biting your own arm off.
Right. Yeah.
So this high school baseball player, I don't know if you heard about this guy who urinated in opposing team's water jug, is not going to be charged. 16-year-old junior varsity baseball player from Rio Rancho High School in New Mexico. He admitted to urinating in a rival team's water jug during the game. And apparently players and coaches from that team drank from the contaminated jug. So the teen initially faced 15 battery charges, one for each person affected. However, Sandoval County District County's attorney's office decided on June 3rd not to pursue charges, stating that the act didn't meet New Mexico's legal definition of battery, which requires unlawful touching in a rude or insolent way.
Oh, so he stayed above the way, he didn't dip. So if you dip and go underneath the surface, then you got a crime.
Let me ask both of you a question.
Sure.
If you took a drink, say, out of this water bottle, you don't think you could tell that somebody
of course you could.
In the bottle?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could.
Okay.
Unless it's like the purest human on earth and the water he's drinking is just a straight exit.
You got to know something's at least off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
God,
The Gatorade's a little different color.
That's
it's yellow, but it's a different yellow.
Who put vinegar in my water?
That is the absolute definition of haterade. You know what I mean? That is the definition, by the way.
Yeah, you're not kidding, man.
Yeah.
Well, there are now thousands of AI users who now believe that ChatGPT is God.
No.
According to a new report, a growing number of tech users believe that artificial intelligence is actually God. And one person is predicting that this will turn into an official church with clergy and services.
Wow.
They've been they think they're accessing secrets of the universe through ChatGPT. All kinds of people seem to fall under this spell, they're saying, treating chatbots like companions, lovers, and even magical spiritual forces.
Steve, you're a great guy to ask this question just because
I'm old? Go ahead. That's all right.
I don't mean it that way, but you're 100% right. Okay. How ridiculous is it when you think about your childhood and the way the world worked to what you live in now?
Oh, God. It's like totally different.
You grew up in the 50s, 60s,
Yep.
which, it was as plain Jane and pure and, harmonious as could be.
However, I have used ChatGPT a bit.
Have you?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I love it.
I do too. I do. But it is scary as hell.
It is.
Imagine when you're 12 in Governor, New York.
Nice job, man.
I'm respectful. At Governor, and you're sitting there at 12 and you type in, hey, how do you get to the moon?
Right.
And then they give you all the ways to do it, how to build the rocket, how to
instantly.
Like that.
I know. That's a scary part.
Remember, you used to have to find like an older kid in the neighborhood to find a picture of boobs?
You had to buy the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Well, I'm talking about even like to see a nudie girl, like some older kid had a magazine.
National Geographic. Yeah. That was my favorite.
Yeah, of course.
Is there any travels to Africa in this edition? Interested in that. You got something.
My mother came in one day. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing interests me more than the problems in Zaire." I just think, man, like, because Matt and I were children in the 80s, and there was a massive technological turn in the 80s. It became digital, TV looked different, video games really became a thing. But now, like, I think about my kids.
Oh,
like, they literally, from the time they were born, have everything they ever wanted to know.
And all this stuff is just accelerating.
That's the thing. I mean, really, you just think in the last
2 years.
I was going to say 10, but
oh my God,
5.
10.
I mean, it's just, God, it's unbelievable.
Well, who was it? Was it Bill? I think it was Bill Gates who predicts that within 10 years, I don't know what percentage. It was a large percentage of jobs will just be eliminated. And he's saying we may not. He was predicting like 2-day work weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah.
But living comfortably.
Yeah.
Because all the things we think about that cost us money and where we need money, we really, if you think about it, You need money for food and lodging. Everything else is bullshit.
I just go out back and kill a chicken.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you live off the grid, not that you're off the grid, but like that, what do you really need? I mean, everything you do, take your car in, and an AI robot's going to fix it in 4 minutes, and you're going to pay $25 and be out the door.
So there's got to be companies that take care of all that. So the scenario I heard was interesting. It's going to be like all these giant companies who take care of this AI and the robots or whatever it is that are taking care of society while everybody does whatever they want. And people don't have any money to pay these companies. So like, how are they going to profit?
Right.
So the government will tax them, huge taxes, right?
Tax who?
Will tax these companies.
Okay.
Okay. And then it'll be essentially like a basic income for everybody else through taxes. We'll
take the money they're paying us and spend it back into their companies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
the way.
They'll
kind of divvy it up, I think, right?
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, but then you're responsible for what you want to spend. It was the idea with COVID was you give that money out, it'll come back into the economy and keep people alive. I just think that there's going to get to a point where if you don't have to work, right? Say you're an 18-year-old kid. Let's just say you're not even a good-looking 18-year-old kid. You literally can live in your house, not have to work, have a virtual girlfriend, and not have to do anything. And why would a human choose to not do that 8 out of 10 times?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the average person.
Well, we hope that people will, the thing will be art and sciences. That's where people are going to put, be passionate.
All their effort.
And hopefully, I mean, you hope that happens in society, and we don't just end up being blobs like what's the movie where they're all drinking Gatorade?
I don't know. What is it?
I forget that. Somebody will say it in the chat.
Matt, I think we call that haterade.
Haterade now, Matt.
Yeah.
Did they piss in the Gatorade? Right. Yeah.
Well, my fear is that you just, because the population isn't going to suddenly stop growing,
No.
And, where are these people? What's it going to have? Are they just roaming the earth?
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. And I don't understand how we're going to deal with it. I think kids.
Profit is going to either go away or it's going to be that kind of scenario where these
it's going to have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it could change us for the better. I mean, now think about a country like, I know that sounds weird, like Saudi Arabia, right? They have so much oil. They just pay their citizens. They don't even work. They import their workers from other countries. So you just get money from the government and you live. I mean,
well, that's Alaska too. If you live in Alaska,
you get paid.
The scary thing is like who controls all this AI?
That's right.
The person with all that info is going to be dangerous potentially.
I worry about, look, let's face it, evil people will do anything evil. And if one of these tech guys, like in their heart is evil, I don't believe Musk is evil. I don't. I think he's weird as hell. But
I think all of his businesses are basically humanitarian.
They are. If you really look at what that guy, he wants to change the world, which I love, but for the better. But I do think there are some guys out there with some money that want to control.
There'll always be that person.
You know what freaks me out? Imagine the armies of robots that are going to be. We're going to fight wars with robots and drones.
Well, it's all online now. I mean, our government is more worried probably about
cybersecurity is a bigger threat than
over
anything.
Nuclear weapons.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's creepy. This is what I say. Do what Steve did. Put all your money into chicken and eggs. Figure out which one comes first, because I don't know. I heard a great joke the other day. I was on Amazon today. I bought a chicken and an egg. I'll let you know.
I like it.
Do we still have a little time, or what are we doing?
Of course.
Yeah.
What's your, when you're doing your stand-up, I'm assuming you put together, I don't know.
You're assuming wrong. I don't put anything together. I walk on stage and start talking.
Really?
Yep. About whatever I feel like talking about that day. I've never really written a joke in all these years.
So you don't have, if they say you got 10 minutes, you know.
I'll just talk for 10 minutes and make it funny.
Okay.
That's how I'm not lying to you.
No, I get it.
Believe me, when I see comics and they come in with their notebooks and they write a set list, and I sit there and I go, "You lucky bastard!" Like
I would have to do that.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm saying that about you, you lucky bastard. What do you mean why do you envy people that have to write stuff down?
I'll tell you why. Because I say a lot of hilarious things that could be incredible bits once. Because then when I'm saying, I don't remember. There was
a device
that you
record your comedy.
I've gotten back. I started recording recently.
Have you really?
Yeah. Well, I went up to Hanover and I did that 4 hours.
Yeah.
I did a show in Hanover in April. It was 4 shows. and they were all stream of conscious, nothing repeated.
Four shows in the same night?
No, 2 in one night,
Oh,
2 in the
okay.
next.
Jeez.
And but they were all 4 different hours,
Okay.
just stream of conscious. And you saw me. I started going through editing it because I realized there's a lot of great stuff there that I would have never remembered.
Yeah.
So I'm learning how to write, but I write on stage.
Here's
now
the other
I'm learning
problem.
how to record
Well,
it.
you've been pretty successful doing
I'm doing
it
all
your
right.
way.
Yeah.
Here's the other problem. You hate listening to yourself.
I can't do it.
I get it because have you been like this, Steve? Have you been able to listen back to your air checks?
I love myself.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, are you comfortable like if you got off the air, somebody handed you the show, could you listen to it the whole drive home?
Yeah.
I couldn't get off the parking lot.
Yeah.
I get cringy. I'm like, oh.
I feel that way about my hypnosis shows that I do. I can't. I don't want to look at them. They're done. They're out of my mind.
The only thing that I can't look at.
Yeah.
I got to sing the national anthem at Oriole Park once.
Wow.
And I took 2 of my girls were like little at the time.
By the way, how are the
4.
kids, man?
They're
Everybody
great.
good?
Yeah, they're
Awesome.
great.
Awesome.
So I figured if I was horrible, I'd have the sympathetic vote because
Sure.
I have these 2 little girls out
Right.
there. And Tom Davis, who did the sports for
Sure.
us, Tom's still around, said, you should go out there and practice because that bounce back will really. I said, oh, I thought I was lip syncing. He goes, no, you don't lip sync. They don't do that. I was like,
Wow.
I'll be okay. So we go down there in the first thing, first 2 words.
Yeah.
Oh, and I hear,
back
come back. And so I was like, whoa.
It's hard to even talk in that situation.
Yeah,
let alone
it
sing,
is.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so I almost stopped after because,
Yeah. No, I get it.
So I did it, but first time I look back at it, I'm going so slow. It's
Right.
like, oh my god.
Yeah.
You have to be able to catch up with.
I know, but
yeah.
it's horrible. I cannot. I watched it once. I never watched it again.
I forget who the comedian is that could sing kind of. And got at his hometown, he got to do the national. It wasn't the Cubs. I think it might have been the White Sox, and I can't remember who it was. But he basically said, he goes, I was so excited. He goes, and I started singing, and then the words, it bounces back on you.
Yeah.
He's like, and I'm listening to myself while I'm trying to sing.
Oh yeah.
He go, and I had to stop in the middle of the song, let the echo go, and then pick it back
It'll
up.
drive you insane, man.
He said, and when I got done, I walked off, and people were like, "What happened?" And I said, "I couldn't sing. I couldn't stand that other guy sing." So I had to wait for him to
The other
stop.
guy was horrible.
That other guy sucked. Is that the news?
That is the facts,
All
Matt.
right.
Thank you,
That's
Matt.
right.
All right, right into it. This is Matt's Music Minute. Have you been to Natalie's yet? The new restaurant?
I saw you guys mention it.
Steve,
or heard something.
listen to me. You know where it is, right? Where
No.
Uncle, you know where Uncle's was, right?
Oh yeah.
That's-
It's seafood now, right?
I'm telling you, Steve, incredible. You
Really?
got to take.
It's
The
the
love-
the local guys.
Yep, the
Right.
guys from the. Have you
Yeah.
been in the local?
Yeah.
Great restaurant.
Yep.
This is seafood oriented. They have amazing other things. It's incredible. It's right there, 2315 Bel Air Road, Natalie's Seafood Kitchen. Tonight on stage, the Drew Scott duo. Tomorrow, Risky Shenanigans take the stage after we do. We will be live at 5 from Natalie's. And then Saturday is Jexa. Sunday, Road Ducks. And then Monday back with Sean B. in DC in the Tiki area. You got to get out
Are
there.
you doing every Friday there?
Every Friday, live
Cool.
at 5. Yep.
All right.
It's been awesome. So here we are, Matt's Music Minute. What do we got,
Yeah,
buddy?
so we were talking about Hart just yesterday, how they were robbed of some instruments that they had. They've already made an arrest.
Good.
That they found them. The Atlantic City, New Jersey Police Department arrested a suspect in the theft of instruments belonging to Hart.
Are we talking the band Heart?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
sorry.
band.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So they actually have video of him on the street trying to sell this thing. And I don't know if you've seen a picture of this guitar. It's it's not like some generic looking guitar.
I
you
got
know?
to see this. Hold on.
Yeah. This it's built specifically for
Oh my
Nancy
God,
Wilson.
that's a custom Telecaster.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a 1966 Gibson EM50.
Oh, that's an EM.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the mandolin. Hers is a Fender Telecaster.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hand painted headstock, purple, beautiful. You can see it on the screen right now, of course. And then a mandolin as well that belonged to Paul Moak, but they found it after just a couple of days of it being gone. Which
That's
is
amazing.
Yeah.
You know
Incredible.
what? Just lately, I have gotten into Heart, and you know what got me going?
What's that?
I'm sure you guys saw Stairway to Heaven at the Kennedy Center
I
from
did-
4 or 5 years
Oh,
ago.
when Zeppelin
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
yeah, and they did incredible.
if you haven't seen it, man, you
Have you
got
seen
to
it?
see
I,
that.
I have you. It's
Oh, my
amazing.
God.
Yeah,
Well,
agreed.
you know, I don't know if you know this or not, Steve, but they credit Led Zeppelin for the forming of their band. They have literally
Really?
said we wanted to be the female Led Zeppelin or Aerosmith. That's what they went for.
Wow.
And so they're like, and I mean, that woman could sing
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And their
Yeah.
band's incredible
Yeah.
musicians.
The Zeppelin even gushed about.
Oh,
Yeah.
my, Robert Plant was like losing it a
Yeah.
little bit.
So we were talking about Huey Lewis yesterday as well, and
Hell yeah. Hip to be
unfortunately,
square.
he can't hear music anymore. He
Oh,
says
no.
because of Meniere's disease. 74-year-old Huey Lewis previously shared that he was diagnosed with Meniere's disease in 1996. It's a disorder of the inner ear that causes dizziness, hearing loss, and ringing in the ear. But
Wow.
he's had some kind of procedure done that's kind of helping him out with that. But
Neuralink.
is it Neuralink?
He might have been because that's helping a lot of
That could
hearing
be,
people. Yeah.
It might be. But despite all that, he's still working on the Huey Lewis in the News Broadway musical, The Heart of Rock and Roll. He says that the goal is to get it in London and that it'll tour America in 2027.
I thought you were going to say the Huey Lewis podcast.
Yeah. Well, Steve, you know, I said yesterday, it's so ironic that we brought up Huey Lewis yesterday. You bring him up
I
today.
know.
And then again, but I said yesterday, Steve, I don't know if that guy had an incredible voice.
Oh, God.
What a singer he
yeah.
was, man.
No
and I mean,
kidding.
how many songs off of sports did you play
Oh,
on the
my
radio back
God,
in the
you
day?
know.
You know?
Well, we had him at, the station brought a lot of great acts to, the town. And Huey was one of them. And God, it was at Pier 6, I think. And of course, lucky me, as I got to go backstage
Sure,
and stuff. And so that's always pretty fun. And he was just, he's just like you would kind of imagine
He's
was.
just a regular
Just
guy.
a dude,
Yeah.
he's just a guy.
Have either one of you seen the documentary it's called like One Special Night or something? It's about the making of We Are the World and how they did that in
I
one
have
night.
seen that. God, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
When you see guys like Quincy Jones and other like really respected musicians go, Huey Lewis sang, and we were all like,
Oh, man.
what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And then he's in that part with Cyndi Lauper,
Yes.
which is the best part of the song.
Sings harmony with
Yeah,
it.
it's incredible.
You know what I love the most out of that documentary was Dylan,
Dylan.
because he, everybody's got these incredible voices, and you could tell he is like intimidated. Like
He was
crazy.
scared
Wow.
to death, and he's the most respected guy
I
in the
know,
room.
and he was really nervous. and
Yeah.
didn't think he could do it. And Stevie Wonder said, "Dude, you're Dylan. Just be yourself.
Just be Bob Dylan."
And Stevie Wonder actually did some. Hey, we are the one. Did some Dylan. He said, "Yeah, just be you," and that's what did it.
Yeah,
But,
and watching that documentary, I mean, Patti LaBelle, what a lunatic she was, but incredible. And then who was it? They didn't even know Prince was supposed to show up,
right.
and he never showed up.
Oh, yeah. I heard
Said,
that story. Yeah.
Well, the reason is apparently I've read some backlog stuff out of the documentary, which they didn't put in the documentary. He was angry that Michael Jackson was getting that whole solo part, and him and Michael Jackson were the two guys at that time.
Yep.
Little did people know that Prince was 10 times the musician.
Well,
any of them were.
Speaking of Prince, just recently again, I saw While My Guitar Gently Weeps
at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
that he does the solo.
Forget about it.
Really, that's
unreal.
probably the best guitar solo I've ever seen.
So my two favorite quotes in music history is Eric Clapton was asked one time, what's it like to be the greatest guitar player in the world? And Eric Clapton said, ask Prince.
Really?
Wow, did he say that?
Yeah, in the 90s. Then my other favorite
With
quote,
that Clapton ego, man, even.
he said, ask
Yeah.
Prince.
Wow.
And then my second favorite quote was that after that, George Harrison's son, I can never remember his name.
Danny.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. He's on stage for that solo.
Right.
If you watch him, he's got a smile that's just from ear to ear.
Yeah.
Watching Prince's solo, and Tom Petty and Jeff Lynne are there as well, looking at him like, what kind of freak are you? And the quote is, when he walked off stage, Danny.
Yeah. D-A-N-I.
Danny Harrison was asked, what was that like? And he said, it was like walking on water with Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And Prince doesn't hang around. He hits
Throws
that
the
last
guitar
chord
up, gone.
and just walks away.
Yeah.
Just like, he's saying, All right, beat that.
Well, you know, the craziest part is he was asked to do it the day of.
Yeah.
He was,
Really?
yes. And he didn't know the song. And he literally said, what key is it in? They told him he'd listened to it twice to know the
Came in and
changes.
just wailed.
And then he just does that.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah. What a freak that guy was.
Oh, I know.
In many ways.
Yeah.
You know, by the end of his life, though, he had gotten his shit together. Like, he was really starting to normalize a little bit. But then that operation, and that's a sad story.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, another sad story. Jimmy Buffett's widow has filed a petition to remove the co-trustee of the late Jimmy Buffett's $275 million estate, claiming that he has failed to act in her best interests. So in her filing reviewed by Variety, Jane Buffett is seeking to remove Richard A. Monsner from his role in overseeing the trust, claiming that he's been openly hostile and adversarial towards her since her husband of 46 years died in September 2023. Not giving her any info about it, billed them like just about $2 million for a year of handling and fees. And so it's going to court, and she is seeking to remove him and replace him with somebody new.
Wow. You know, Jimmy Buffett is a guy that I found a year and a half ago. 2 years ago. I'm not kidding
Really?
you. But here's the weird part. I knew Cheeseburger in Paradise and Margaritaville.
Right.
And I thought, all right, he's a hokey sort of novelty guy that just had a following. And then a friend of mine, actually Shannon's roommate, Stan, is the biggest Jimmy Buffett fan I've ever met. So he would listen to a lot of it. And I remember when, Alexa, he would be like, play Jimmy Buffett music. So I'm around the house and you hear these songs and I'm like, who wrote that? He's like, that's Jimmy Buffett. Who wrote that? That's Jimmy. And so I started learning what a songwriter that guy was. Really respected, like amongst the country guys and the Americana guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, the being a parrot head is a thing, I guess.
I just thought it was you got drunk, smoked weed, and looked at girls' boobs.
Yeah, of course, that's
I
part of
really
it, right?
thought that's what it was. But I thought it was just goofy, silly songs.
Yeah.
Well, that's everybody's following. That does that.
Yeah.
But the parrot heads were, how did he create that? How did it happen? Who knows?
It's an amazing story.
Oh my God. It is.
And I'm a fan now. I like Jimmy Buffett.
Yep. Cool.
Well, I think the All-American Rejects stole one of your ideas, Mick.
Everybody does.
Yeah. The front man.
I've been writing, excuse me, Matt, but I've been writing all sorts of ideas during the show.
Feel free to take them all.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Their front man is joining OnlyFans to continue the band's disruptive streak.
Listen.
Wait, I'm not familiar with this.
You don't know what OnlyFans is?
Oh, yeah, I know OnlyFans.
All right. So here's what I want.
Not that I've ever.
Right. Yeah. Here's what I want to do, Steve. I want to put this show as it is on OnlyFans. And here's the reason.
And do it in the nude or what?
No.
Okay.
Just like this.
All right.
And all we do is the show. And I'm telling you, the disgusting, horrible people that join OnlyFans, right, are going to at least have one thing on there that they can look at that's quality entertainment.
Okay.
That's not necessarily making them feel bad later.
These will be your own parrot heads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're called the MFers, Mickey fans. That's what we're going to call them. MFer. Matt fans, Mickey fans.
Perfect.
They're MFers.
I like it.
But I wanted to, is he really doing it?
Yeah. So this guy says he decided to create an account to build a closer, more direct relationship with fans. He stayed vague about what his subscribers are in for on the often not suitable for work platform, but he said that they can expect, quote, full frontal rock and roll with all access. He said,
so they're doing it. They're doing it.
Fans will be charged around 69 cents.
Now, when they say all access,
are they doing it nude? It says full frontal.
He's been very ambiguous about what will be happening there.
Steve, my idea originally for OnlyFans was this. You join, and then I do live shows, and I start the show off naked. And they pay me to get dressed. You follow me?
Oh, yeah.
I should be at $1,000 about 4 seconds into the show. If everybody just gave $1, I'd be dressed in 2 minutes and get the hell out of there.
One show. Bye-bye.
That's it. Once a day, I'll do it, and that's it. Matt will retire on it.
Oh, man.
I love it. Let's make it happen, man.
All right. That is Matt's Music Minute. You're the best in the biz, buddy. And by biz, I mean on Mickey Talks doing the show. Steve, I got to tell you, man, I hope you come down and do it more. I could talk to you for hours. Where do people find your pod? Do you even know?
Yes, I think I know.
All right, where is it?
Name of the podcast is Lunch with Stephen Maynard.
Okay.
I have a blog / website, therealsteverouse.com. It's always on there.
Did somebody else have steverouse.com?
Yes.
God.
SOB.
I know.
He's a music guy too.
Of course he
And,
is.
and he's retired. And so I actually sent him an email.
Yeah, would you like to sell it?
Man,
Yeah.
you know, and nothing. So we're very close, I think, to jumping over him.
But you are the real Steve Rouse.
Yes,
so
screw
I'm there. That guy.
And, you know, where all podcasts are, you can get it wherever.
Yeah, awesome.
And
yeah.
you guys have a live event where you're going to be doing the next one. Is that right?
Yeah, June 10th. Next Tuesday.
Where?
We always do it at 111 Main.
Want to go?
I'm going. I got reservations already.
Is it too late?
Yeah. Are you really?
My whole family's coming.
I love your mom and dad.
Yeah.
Who else in the family?
My wife wasn't there last time, but she's coming this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got Jamie Costello is going to be our guest this time.
And Jamie's been telling me he's going to do my show, but he should do yours first. Honestly, he should.
Well,
Makes
I want
more
you
sense.
guys to be on the show too. It's
I'm there
Tuesday at noon. So.
I'll be there. I'll be there at 11:30, and you just tell me when I'm on and for how long.
All right.
And I'll do it.
Well, not this Tuesday. We already got Jamie.
Oh, can I come watch?
Of course, anybody
need a
can come and
reservation?
watch. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you probably should, but come down and have lunch. And
what's it
and,
called?
sit on the
111
show.
Main?
111 Main.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what the address is?
111 Main.
Nice. That's good.
Speaking of which, you ever
Great
go to,
food, by the way. It's really awesome food there.
Yeah, it's good.
do you ever go to Annapolis? Do you and Vicky ever drive down to
Very
Annapolis?
seldom.
Do it. I never do it. I went Saturday. I went to a restaurant called O'Leary's.
Okay.
Incredible.
So right down on City Dock.
It's right over the bridge to the right.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the water, that bridge.
Yeah.
So you go over the first left. It's the first blue building. It's incredible.
Yeah, Annapolis is cool, man.
It is cool.
It's just a great. I haven't been there in a long time.
I hung out there. I'm there next Friday for Stan and Joe's doing comedy.
My second, really first radio station was right there on Main Street. So
in Annapolis,
it's such a cool town and a cool place to do radio.
I imagine. Yeah. Well, Steve Rouse, you are a legend to us in this town. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me. I really had fun. It's been a great time.
It's been awesome. You're welcome. I mean, anytime you want to come.
Okay, when Gabby Hayes shows up, I'll sit right here. If you don't mind.
Steve Rouse, everybody. Matt, great show again. We're back. Oh no, we are live at Natalie's.
Yeah, tomorrow night, 5 o'clock. Join us out on the deck.
No guest, right?
No guest.
I
tomorrow.
like when it's just you and I.
I just live down the road, so I'll just show up.
I would love it if you just showed up.
For sure.
Are you kidding me? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But we'll be at Natalie's tomorrow starting at 5. And we look forward to seeing you guys there. And, of course, back in the regular studio Monday at 5. We will morning show. Pick a day next week you want to do it.
We're going to do it next week?
You want to do it Tuesday and then go to lunch?
No.
Okay. All right, fair enough. What day you want to do it?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Let's figure it out.
What is this?
So what we're going to do, we started this show originally, it was 8 o'clock at night. We started at 8, right? I'm like, all right, then we're going to job during the day, do a show at night. People started watching it. And I was like, why don't we try to do it during the afternoon? Maybe we get more people. And we did.
Okay.
So now I'm like, let's try a morning, see what we can do. Because we're just creating our own station.
Are you going to do both or just do the...
I think that day we'll just do the morning.
I think it's an experiment. We're just going to see how it works.
If people tune in or not.
Yeah.
You know, the trouble we're having now, Stephen, we got to start doing this. Listen to us anywhere because it's just on your phone. Like you don't need a radio. You don't need anything but your phone.
Yep.
And you can watch us or listen in the car.
Yeah.
You know, don't watch us in the car, but listen.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, though.
Yes, please do. Subscribe to everything. And Rumble, if you're a Rumble person. We can't sleep on Rumble, dude.
Of course not. Yeah, we're there.
It's going to be awesome. All right, Steve, thank you again.
Guys.
And it's therealsteverouse.com for more info on Steve. And, of course, Mickey Talks everywhere podcasts are available. See you guys tomorrow at 5. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, guys.